Have you ever found yourself turning down an invitation and feeling a quiet sense of relief instead of guilt? As we grow older, there's a subtle but powerful shift that happens not just in our bodies but deep within our hearts. It's not about becoming distant or antisocial. It's about discovering a new kind of freedom, a deeper connection to ourselves. In this video, I'll share 7 heartfelt reasons why aging gently nudges us toward a life of greater independence. Stay with me. You might just recognize a beautiful reflection of your own journey. Number 1, the comfort of your own company. As you grow older, something beautifully profound happens. You finally come home to yourself. It's as if you meet for the very first time the person you've quietly lived with through all the seasons of your life. You begin to realize that your happiness no longer hinges on the company of others, the noise of crowded rooms, or the constant pursuit of approval. True contentment you discover lives in the quiet companionship of your own soul. In earlier years, you might have felt an invisible pull to be part of the gathering, to prove something, by being present to seek validation in the eyes of the crowd. But now, with the wisdom that only time can gift you, embrace a gentler truth: you don't need a full house to have a full heart. Solitude, once misunderstood as loneliness, transforms into a sanctuary, where your mind can wander freely, your spirit can breathe, and your heart can finally whisper its truest desires without interruption. I remember just last winter, my neighbor, Mr. Allen, a vibrant 72-year-old widower, invited me to a neighborhood potluck. There would be music, laughter, old friends reminiscing about days gone by. Once I would have rushed to join, fearful of missing out, fearful of being forgotten. But that evening, I politely declined. Instead, I stayed home with a cozy blanket, my favorite novel, and a pot of chamomile tea steaming gently by my side. As the world outside buzzed with conversation and celebration, I sat quietly, savoring the peace that filled my little living room. It was not loneliness. I felt it was something deeper, something richer, complete contentment. A younger version of me might have felt guilty for choosing solitude, but at that moment I felt nothing but gratitude. There is an undeniable beauty in reaching a point where your own company feels not only enough, but sacred. You are no longer chasing the laughter of the crowd or the empty applause of fleeting acquaintances. Instead, you are sipping deeply from the well of your own life, the memories you've gathered, the lessons you've learned, the quiet dreams still blooming within you. The pressure to perform, to impress, to be anything other than yourself simply dissolves. Choosing solitude over social gatherings doesn't mean you dislike people. It doesn't mean you become bitter or withdrawn. Quite the opposite. It means you have found a deeper appreciation for authenticity, for experiences and conversations that nourish your spirit rather than drain it. You understand that a quiet walk in the park, feeling the wind brush your cheeks, or an afternoon lost in the pages of a favorite book can bring more joy than the loudest party ever could. Aging, in its quiet wisdom, teaches you that the most precious companionship you will ever know is the bond you build with your own soul. It reminds you that silence can be a song, that stillness can be a celebration, and that solitude can be the most faithful of friends. So if you find yourself, like many of us, declining invitations without guilt, choosing quiet nights over noisy celebrations, know this: you are not fading away. You are blooming inwardly. You are growing into the rarest kind of freedom, the freedom to simply be. And there is no greater blessing than that. Number 2, energy is a precious resource. One of the most profound lessons aging gently places into our hands is this: energy is not infinite. It's a sacred, limited gift. One we must protect fiercely if we want to live our days with grace, purpose, and joy. When we were young, it felt endless. We could stretch ourselves thin across crowded parties, late nights, and endless obligations without a second thought. But now at 70 and beyond, we recognize that every ounce of energy spent is an investment, and we are far wiser about where we choose to spend it. Social gatherings, though often filled with laughter and familiar faces, can quietly siphon away that precious reserve. It's not because we dislike people, nor because we have grown cold or antisocial. Quite the opposite. It's because we have finally learned to distinguish between connections that nourish us and those that simply drain us, between the gatherings that fill our hearts and those that leave us feeling hollow and exhausted. Take my friend Harold, for example. Last month, he received 2 invitations on the same weekend. One was for a big 70th birthday, bash at a noisy banquet hall, complete with live music, speeches, and dancing that promised to stretch long into the night. The other was a simple invitation from his old fishing buddy Pete for a quiet afternoon coffee at the local diner. Years ago, Harold would have automatically said yes to both, believing it was his duty to show up, to be seen, to participate. But this time Harold paused. He thought about how much energy it would take to suit up, navigate crowded conversations, stay on his feet and smile for hours at faces he barely knew. He thought about how drained he would feel the next day, maybe for days after. Instead, Harold chose the diner. Sitting across from Pete, sipping hot coffee from chipped mugs, reminiscing about their fishing trips and laughing about all the ones that got away, that was where Harold's spirit felt at home. Afterward, he walked back to his car under a soft golden afternoon sun, feeling lighter, happier, renewed. That small, quiet moment gave him more life than any grand event ever could. This is the beautiful wisdom that comes with age. Understanding that your energy is like a precious savings account. You must spend it on what gives you true returns. Peaceful mornings, meaningful conversations, slow walks in the park, or simply sitting by a window, watching the world drift by like a gentle river. And let's be honest, there's an unmatched joy in choosing to stay home sometimes. No need to iron a shirt or find shoes that pinch a little less. No need to wonder if you'll find parking or if you'll remember everyone's names. No awkward small talk with strangers you barely connect with. Instead, you slip into your coziest pajamas at 7 p.m., cradle a warm cup of tea between your hands, and sink into the soft embrace of your favorite chair. Maybe your loyal dog curls up by your feet. Maybe a classic movie plays softly in the background. The world grows quiet, and so does your heart, and in that stillness you feel a happiness so deep, it doesn't need an audience to applaud it. Preserving your energy is not selfish, it's a wise, loving act of self-care. It means you are choosing to honor your well-being over unnecessary obligation. It means you are saving your best self for the people and the moments that truly deserve you. So the next time an invitation arrives, take a moment to ask yourself, will this gathering add light to my life or dim it? Because at this stage, your energy is a sacred flame, and the life you've built deserves to be illuminated only by the things and the people that help it shine brighter. Number 3, prioritizing what really matters. There comes a quiet, beautiful awakening with age, a realization that not every connection in our life deserves a front row seat. As we step into our 70s and beyond, we begin to see relationships with a clearer, softer kind of wisdom. It's not about bitterness, it's not about shutting doors or building walls. It's about understanding that your time, your heart, and your peace are treasures far too valuable to spend on anything less than real, nourishing connection. In younger years, we often cling to relationships out of habit, out of duty, or simply because they have always been there. We stretch ourselves thin, keeping ties that no longer fit the person we become, giving and giving, hoping that somehow things will feel balanced again. But life has a way of teaching us softly at first, then more insistently, not every bond is meant to last forever. And that's not a tragedy, it's a natural part of growing. One of the most profound shifts that aging brings is the ability to choose with intention. To ask quietly but firmly, does this relationship bring me joy? Does it uplift me? Does it leave me feeling seen, heard, and valued? Or does it leave me drained, questioning my worth, carrying weight that was never mine to bear? These are not selfish questions. They are necessary ones. I remember this lesson coming into focus for me a few years back with someone I had called a friend for more than 30 years. Our history was long filled with memories of raising our children side by side, weathering ups and downs together. But somewhere along the way, the connection began to shift. Conversations grew one-sided. Support felt like a one-way street. Every meeting ended with me feeling more invisible than seen. For a long time, I clung to the friendship out of loyalty to the past. But one evening, after yet another heavy phone call where I listened for an hour and wasn't asked a single question about my own life, something inside me quietly said, enough. I didn't make a grand announcement. I didn't send an angry letter. I simply began to step back to give that space back to myself. And in doing so, something unexpected happened. In the quiet that followed, there was room for new connections to enter. Deeper, gentler friendships built not on obligation, but on mutual care, mutual joy. People who not only received my kindness, but reflected it back to me without hesitation. It's not always easy. Letting go can feel like grieving a piece of your own history. But it's important to remember honoring your own well-being is not an act of cruelty, it's an act of profound self-love. When you prioritize relationships that are rich in empathy, laughter, understanding, and sincerity, you gift yourself the chance to thrive, not just survive. So today, I invite you to take a gentle inventory of your inner circle. Think about how you feel after spending time with the people closest to you. Do you feel lighter, more alive, more seen? Or do you find yourself weary, questioning, or diminished? Listen carefully to those feelings. They are your soul's way of guiding you toward the life you deserve in this precious chapter. It's never too late to set boundaries, never too late to choose again, never too late to open your heart to the friendships that fill your cup rather than empty it. Life, especially now, should be rich with laughter, deep conversations, mutual respect, and tender understanding. And sometimes, to make room for those beautiful things, we have to be brave enough to gently release what no longer fits. Protect your peace. Nourish the connections that water your spirit, and trust that by doing so, you're giving yourself one of the greatest gifts of all, a life surrounded by genuine love, joy, and the quiet, steady warmth of being truly valued. Number 4, health and rest come first. One of the clearest lessons that life whispers to us as we grow older is this: your body, your well-being must come first. Not as an afterthought, not as something to squeeze in when everything else is done, but as the very foundation of how you live, love, and show up for the moments that truly matter. At 70, your body speaks with a new kind of honesty, sending signals that are impossible to ignore. Take care of me, it says, or I will slow you down in ways you never imagined. And so naturally, the way you approach social gatherings changes. What once felt exciting, a noisy party, a late night out, a crowded room full of chatter, can now feel overwhelming, draining, even physically uncomfortable. The thump of music vibrating through your chest, the endless conversations layered one over another, the strain of raising your voice just to be heard over the din. These are no longer small inconveniences. They are real, tangible burdens on your energy, your heart, your balance. It's not just about feeling a little tired afterward. It's about the ripple effects, how one late night can throw off your sleep for days, how the overstimulation can leave your mind foggy, your spirit weary, your body aching in ways it never used to. You start to understand that it's not worth sacrificing tomorrow's peace for tonight's fleeting entertainment. I remember attending a wedding reception not long ago, an event I once would have danced through with abandon. But after just an hour in the crowded banquet hall, I felt the toll, the pounding music, the dense heat of too many bodies in one space, the strain of smiling through shouted conversations. By the time I slipped away and returned home, I realized something important. It wasn't that I didn't love celebrating others, it was that my body needed different things now: gentler spaces, slower rhythms, softer joys. But aging gracefully doesn't mean withdrawing from connection, far from it. It simply means being more intentional about how you connect. Instead of big noisy parties, you seek out smaller, more intimate gatherings, afternoons spent with a few cherished friends over tea, mornings walking in the park with a neighbor, quiet lunches where every word can be heard without strain. These moments are no less joyful. In fact, they often feel richer, deeper, more genuine. Daytime meetups become your sweet spot. Brunches, early lunches, garden visits, library talks. They honor your body's rhythms, allowing you to enjoy companionship while still protecting your need for rest. Good sleep and quiet recovery. You realize that the measure of a good gathering is not how late you stay or how loud the laughter is. It's how warmly you feel afterward, how much lighter your heart is, not heavier your body. Choosing your health and rest over social obligation is not selfish. It is wise, it is brave. It is a way of saying, I honor the life I've been given, and I will care for it fiercely. And ironically, when you prioritize your well-being, you show up for others with more genuine presence, more patience, more warmth, because you are not running on empty, but overflowing with quiet strength. So the next time an invitation comes and your body hesitates, listen. Ask yourself, will this add to my well-being or take away from it? Am I showing up for joy or out of guilt? Your answers will gently guide you toward a life that feels not only full, but full of what truly matters. Health, peace, connection, and a deep, lasting kind of happiness that noisy rooms can never replicate. After all, taking care of yourself isn't about missing out. It's about creating space for the moments that you'll actually treasure. Number 5, noise versus peace of mind. One of the quiet gifts that aging offers is the ability to see noise for what it truly is, not just sound, but often a thief of peace. Somewhere along the winding road of life, you begin to realize that it's not about disliking people or shunning gatherings or withdrawing from the world. It's about treasuring something even more precious: your mental clarity, your emotional calm, your deep inner stillness. When you were younger, noise might have meant excitement, possibility, life itself happening all around you. Loud music, bustling crowds, the hum of overlapping conversations. There was an energy to it all that once felt intoxicating, but now at 70 and beyond, your soul starts to crave something different. Not less life, but a deeper, quieter kind of life. A life where you can actually hear your own thoughts, feel your own heartbeat, and listen to the small, beautiful whispers of the world that often get drowned out by noise. Think for a moment about the difference between a calm evening at home and a crowded event buzzing with activity. At home, there is a soft, soothing kind of magic. The clock ticking gently on the wall, the steady breathing of a beloved pet curled up nearby, the familiar creak of the floorboards beneath your slippers. In that stillness, your mind finds room to wander freely, to dream, to remember, to simply be. It's not emptiness you find there. It's richness, it's restoration. It's a kind of fullness that chaos can never provide. Now contrast that with the whirlwind of a loud event, the pounding music that shakes the walls, the overlapping voices vying for space, the flashing lights, the constant tug of interactions. In your younger days, it might have energized you. Today, it often feels like a storm battering against a fragile window. It leaves you drained, your thoughts scattered like leaves in a strong wind. It's not just physical exhaustion. You feel it's an erosion of your inner calm. A sense that the space you've so carefully tended inside yourself has been trampled without permission. And so it's only natural that quiet places begin to feel like sanctuaries. They aren't just an absence of noise. They are a presence of peace. They offer you the chance to reconnect with yourself in a world that often demands too much, too fast, too loud. In these sacred spaces of stillness, you can sort your thoughts, heal old wounds, dream new dreams. You can listen not to the roar of the world, but to the quiet wisdom within your own heart. Have you noticed it too? This growing yearning for peace over noise. If you know that you are not alone, it's not a sign of weakness or isolation. It's a beautiful sign of growth, of clarity, of wisdom earned through the many seasons of your life. It's a reminder that you have nothing left to prove to the world. You are free now to seek what truly nourishes your soul. The beauty of this shift is that it gently teaches you to make different choices: a walk through a quiet garden instead of a crowded mall, an afternoon spent reading a cherished book rather than attending a loud festival, sitting by a window simply watching the clouds drift lazily across a wide, forgiving sky. These moments, once overlooked, now become treasures. They offer a joy so deep, so pure, that no party, no event, no applause could ever replicate it. In choosing peace over noise, you are not losing anything. You are gaining everything: clarity, depth, restoration, and the beautiful, quiet joy of truly living. Number 6, independence feels empowering. One of the most liberating and empowering gifts that aging brings is the deep, quiet joy of learning to enjoy your own company. You begin to realize that true happiness isn't anchored in anyone else's approval, nor does it sway with the opinions of the outside world. Instead, it rises gently from within, a calm assurance that your life, your choices, and your peace are yours to honor. This sense of independence doesn't appear all at once. It unfolds softly like a sunrise through years of living, learning, and growing. And when it arrives, it changes everything. Suddenly, the pressure to conform, to please, to explain yourself begins to melt away. You no longer feel the need to chase after acceptance, because you've discovered something far more precious: the freedom to live life on your own terms. A pivotal part of this transformation is learning to say no without guilt, without apology. For so many of us, the habit of putting others' feelings above our own ran deep for decades. We said yes when we longed to say no. We attended gatherings out of obligation, agreed to favors. We didn't have the heart for and stretched ourselves thin, trying to be everything for everyone. But as you age, you finally understand the quiet strength in setting boundaries. Not to push people away, but to protect the peace you've worked so hard to build. I still vividly remember the first time I said no, without offering an excuse or explanation. A friend had invited me on a busy weekend getaway, packed with sightseeing and schedules. But my heart craved something simpler, a quiet weekend at home, a long walk in the park, a few chapters of a novel by the fireside. So I smiled and said, "Thank you for thinking of me, but I'll pass this time." No guilt, no lengthy reasons. And in that moment, I felt a powerful shift, as if I had finally given myself permission to live truthfully. Independence at this stage of life isn't about isolation or stubbornness. It's about confidence. It's about standing firmly in your own story and trusting your instincts to guide you. When you make decisions based on what genuinely brings you joy, peace, and fulfillment, you feel more aligned, more authentic, more whole. So embrace this beautiful independence that life has gifted you. Trust yourself to know when to say yes, when to say no, and when to simply be. It's not selfishness, it's self-respect. And the more you honor your needs with grace and courage, the richer, more meaningful, and more intentional your days will become. Because at this stage, you have nothing left to prove, only a life left to live fully and freely, just as you are. Number 7, embracing time as a gift. There's a tender wisdom that blooms with age, a deeper understanding that time is not something to be spent carelessly, but a precious gift to be cherished. As the years pass, you stop taking time for granted. Every hour, every quiet morning, every golden afternoon becomes an opportunity to fill your life with meaning, not obligation. Aging gently teaches you to be intentional. You no longer chase after everything simply because you feel you should. You begin to choose carefully, holding your hours like pearls, stringing them together into days that feel full, rich, and deeply personal. It's not about isolating yourself from the world. It's about filling your life with what nourishes your soul. I remember just recently being invited to a big family reunion. It was a kind gesture, a gathering of faces I knew and loved. But that same weekend, I had just rekindled an old passion painting, a hobby I had abandoned decades ago. I was in the middle of a piece that had captured my heart completely, and for the first time, I allowed myself to choose differently. I politely declined the invitation and spent the weekend with a brush in my hand, lost in colors and memories. The sense of fulfillment I felt was profound, deeper than any casual conversation or dutiful gathering could have offered. The truth is, there's no shame in choosing yourself. In fact, it's a celebration of the life you've built. Every moment you spend doing what truly lights you up, whether it's painting, gardening, reading, laughing with a dear friend, or simply sitting quietly with a cup of tea, is a moment lived fully. You've earned the right to be intentional with your time, to prioritize what brings you peace, joy, and purpose. Because the time spent on what truly matters is never wasted. It's the purest way to honor the precious gift of life. As we age, we don't lose ourselves. We find a deeper, richer way of living. By honoring your time, your energy, and your peace, you're embracing a freedom that only life's seasons can teach. If this message resonates with you, comment "Stay True" below. And if you found comfort here, feel free to like, subscribe, and journey with me through the beautiful chapters still ahead. Until next time, take gentle care and keep choosing yourself every single day.